Hey everybody, this is Jack Alba with another money episode. Today is a little bit of a fun one because I am going to show you what I would do if I were given $1 million. So I will say that there's been a lot of lottery talk of like 1.9 billion or whatever it is. And I think that's actually the sum if you were to take it over the annuity payments. I think it's like 30 years or something. So it would be a lot less if you took the just the lump sum. But anyway, I started thinking, even just even if I were to get $1 million, could that put me into a very comfortable position, and how would that affect my life? So it's kind of fun to think about. So I thought I would kind of open the hood and show you my thought process. And I'd love to hear what you guys would do with $1 million, how you would invest, spend, and save that money. And yeah, and I'll share some of my thoughts. So I guess the first part I would think about, I want to know where I am right now. So our rental houses bring in net, I would say about $2,600 a month. Our land, we'll call it flipping financing. Now this is land that we bought and sold, but when we sold it, we basically are getting a stream of payments instead of a lump sum. Not interest, just payments over time. So this on net, we get about 200. And then we'll say books, miscellaneous. We have a couple books we sell. We'll say about 50. So, and our initial expenses, like our personal expenses, so our primary residence, and then our credit card bill at the end of the month, I'd say roughly about $6,000 a month. Yeah, this is per month. So, here, how should we break this down? Step. I don't know how many of these there's going to be and how many different buckets I'm going to have, but and I'll try to show the monthly, let's say the monthly expenses given the steps. So like if I decide to pay off our house, you would see a deduction here. So that's going to be, let's look at additional passive income. Because I'm not really trying to get my net worth per se up to a certain amount. I'm trying to get my passive income above our monthly expenses. And I'll show you in a second, but probably about 3,000 of that 6,000 is really related to housing. So we'll go into that. So the low-hanging fruit, let's think here. So $10,000 pay off loan for whole life. So as many of you know, I'm a big fan of the infinite banking concept. And while it works really well with like land flipping or flipping any sort of item, we also took a loan against it to improve our kitchen. And the thought was we'd either refi later or just sell. But we ended up not actually doing either because rates went up so much. So we still have about $10,000 that we're paying off. So I would pay that off. That that would not alter really our prime. Like I guess I'm considering it, yeah, like our normal monthly expenses. You know what? I'll even add additional active income. Okay, so that's $10,000. So we're gonna go. So we'll keep a tally of how much money we have left. Okay, yeah, so this is the low hanging fruit. Pay off loan for 401k. This is about $25,000. Now I took out a loan for my personal 401k about a year ago to help pay for a condo. So the thought behind the 401k loan is my amount that I'm paying each paycheck is about $260, and this is about twice a month, we'll say. Or you know what? No, we'll give it the actual. So it's really, what is that? 26 paychecks a year. So if we multiply this by 26, so that's coming out of my paycheck each year right now. And that's going for a good chunk of time still. I wouldn't pay it off until 2026 as of right now. And right now I owe about 24,000. So we'll call it 24. So if we divide, so 24,000, if I put in 24,000 and I'm saving about 6,000 a year, that's a pretty good cash on cash return. Almost 30%. So I'm definitely going to pay that. And since the stock market's getting crushed, so this was 5% interest going into my 401k, but now that money will go into the stock market, which I think is a good play here. So we'll do that. Now, additional active income, because I was basically paying $260. I'll do this monthly, and I'll just say I'd be getting an extra like $500 to my paycheck. So that would be good. Doesn't really affect my like normal monthly expenses. It doesn't generate additional passive income. So let's think about, should I pay off our house? So I would have said before, when I had renters, it didn't really, it doesn't really make sense to pay off the house just because the renters are paying for all the expenses. But now it's just my wife and I living here, and we have it on a 15-year loan, and currently, let's see here, we owe, we'll call it 215,000, and we're paying $1,800 a month. So if you think about on a cash on cash return, so 1,800 times 12 divided by, we'll say 215. We'll say 215,000. So that's a 10% cash on cash return. That sounds pretty good to me, and it will lower our expenses, so we need less passive income. So let's do that. So even though it's, and we're basically locking in that 3.125% that it's financed at, but honestly, it's one less thing to think about, and will give some peace of mind. And the monthly expenses will go down $1,800. Sorry, 1,800. But this is additional. So let's see here. And let's do expenses. Passive income. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. The expenses. So for the monthly expenses, you know what, this is going to annoy me. Sorry, 1 second. So equals this. So monthly expenses. Okay, so let's do this here. Sorry. So just make it easier. Easier to see. And then why don't we basically want to look at the ratio. And we want our monthly passive income to be higher than our monthly expenses. So we want this number to be approaching 1 and greater. Okay, so as after paying off the house, we have $750 to work with. Okay, so some of these rental homes have some interesting financing on them. So let's see here. So the 7-unit, that has a balloon payment after 5 years. It was amortized like a 20-year loan, but the balloon payment occurs after 60 months. So we should see 60 here. Yep. And at the end of 60, we're gonna owe. And we'll have the option to either refinance with this bank, or we can just pay the final amount. So it looks like it's 161. And right now we're sitting at about here. So how many? So got like. So I'm really looking for like I basically want a reserve for this amount that I'm gonna owe in like 54 months. So like in 4 years, I'm gonna want to have that money locked and loaded. So, oh, Mark, this is a great video, by the way. But let's go to look at what the bond rates are for treasuries. Sorry, can't spell. Well, I'm gonna just assume I can get like a 4%. on the 4-year. Let's just, so I'm going to assume I can get 4% on, let's say, 100, and so we're going to buy treasury bonds. Four-year. And let's just say I'm going to just make, I mean, this might be like off, but at 4%. So let's say we're gonna 160,000 for that. Now 160. Actually, let's look at if we pay that off it. Yeah, that's like a 9.2% cash and cash at that point. But right now, that payment times 12 divided by what it would cost, it's only like 7.9. Okay, just curious on that. So this bond, the way the bond would work is you would get, if it was at 4%, so you go 160.04. So that's like the annual amount you would collect in coupon payments. So if I normally they're paid every 6 months. But let's just take, so let's say this would be additional passive income until that's paid off. Okay. So we've increased our passive income once again. We're approaching that $4,200 amount. Now, my uncle was nice enough to lend me some money for a condo that was related to the loan I took out for the 401k. He gave me $90,000 at 3.5% interest, but with the stipulation I had to pay him back after 2 years. So you can see there's 24 payments here. We're sitting about here. So if I were to just pay him out right now, that's the payment. That's the amount I would have to pay him off, I think. So that'd be about a 5.5% cash and cash return. Oh, wait, why don't we? Sorry. Right there. So it gets a little higher, but basically we have to pay that. So we need to basically reserve for this amount. So why don't we say I'm going to do a 1-year note. So it's yielding 4 point, so it's actually higher. Yeah, it is higher right now. Dang. So it's a little inverted. So we'll say buy treasury bonds, but this is just 1 year at 4.5%. What did I say the amount? Let's say I get 90 grand worth. So that would be $90,000, 10.045 divided by 12. Okay. So we're getting a little bit additional income for the meantime. So now we're close. And once again, after that year is done, we would get those coupon payments plus our principal back. So and for people that are like, well, this isn't keeping up with inflation. Well, that's true. But it's kind of a lesser of two evils, and we're getting our passive income up, and hopefully we would be able to reallocate that or redistribute it into the market. Okay, so buy treasury bonds. How much do we have left? Oh, we have exactly $500,000 left. So I think I'm gonna assume if we had $500,000, let's think about this. If we bought $100,000 house, let's say no debt, no leverage on these. So if I could find a $100,000 house that nets about $6,000, so we call that a 6 cap. Let's say we get 2 of those just to make the math easy. So if we deploy 200,000 and using no debt, just cash. And let's say each one was 6,000, so it would be 12,000 for the 2 of them. So that's another $1,000 a month there. So have we now eclipsed? Okay, so now we're finally over. So that's cool. So then we're basically financially free at that point. Not, super wealthy, but and who knows what our monthly expenses would be in like a year, but it is what it is. This is we're thinking through some things. And then I think so we have $300,000. So we paid off the house by treasury bonds. $300,000 left. I think I would. Well, let's say since I'm a fan of the infinite banking policies, why don't I do another policy? I think I would basically. This would consist of. Or you know what? And I'm gonna hopefully say, what could I? You know what? I'm still getting used to it, but I feel like I'm fairly good. If I could just even conservatively generate, I don't know, 6%. I don't even think that's that much. I think it really should be closer to 10. But let's just say conservatively, and then monthly, what? What should be? Okay, I like the way that's looking. So we got options account there. We have 250 left. Honestly, I'm gonna call this a fun. I think I would put rent out house and travel where we want. So let's think here. So let's say we could get 2,500, but then we'd have to, maybe we're spending 2,000 plus we'd have to pay a management company. So maybe we're only getting about 250 net on this because we might rent it for like 2,500. Yeah, like 2,500. And then let's say we would like spend maybe, I don't even know, just to have like in a fund where probably good for at least a year. And then I'm gonna say, I mean, I don't know how to really quantify this education. Let's say 100 grand. Maybe, for example, we go learn how to build with Cobb, and that would allow us in the future to build a house and then maybe keep our current house permanently rented out, and then that this would go up. But basically, we could learn how to build a house and be debt free with that. And then, I'm going to probably just say, I'm going to just keep 100 grand in cash. Or you know what? No, that's not fun. Let's go Bitcoin, 20 grand. And I think this would kind of, the plan would be this: if we could rent the house out and not need to travel, this could really ramp this up again. This could be like $2,000 worth, basically, because then we can rent our current house out and wouldn't need to pay for something. So that then now we're really looking. Okay, so Bitcoin. And the options account is like stocks and equity. And I will say, going into this, I did not have a lot of bond exposure. So it might seem like we're in a lot of bonds, but the rates have gone up, and just take the passive income, I guess, and plan for some of these balloon payments. Let's see here. And then why don't we just say cash? 80 grand. Peace of mind. Now, I think what also would be interesting to think about, like, so, okay, so our expenses are taken care of by our passive income. So we would have extra each month to invest during this time. But let's say after 5 years, let's look at the effects from these bonds. So for example, our 7-unit would be, so we have this $160,000 that would come due, that would pay off that house. So we wouldn't be getting the 533 anymore. So 7-unit paid off. But what did I say? The 7-unit monthly. It's 1234. Okay, so this would go down. That's interesting, yeah, because it's not included in. Yeah, because that's not a personal expense. But basically, the 7-unit being paid off, we would basically say it's this. So the negative of that, we'll say 1234, which was the payment. So we're net 701. So then we go up even more. That was paid off after 5 years, and the condo gets paid off. On the 1 year, so we're subtracting the 380. And that payment for the condo to my uncle is 404. Okay, so yeah, every little bit counts. And then we'd be almost to twice the passive income. And who knows what would have happened with this, like the education fund, or this renting out the house while traveling. There could have been a lot of cool projects that result from that. Who knows how the passive income could have improved along this way, and the cash also could have been deployed in some way to improve. I mean, even if it's just buying more treasuries. So I think that's how I would invest $1 million if I got it today in my current situation. And I would be very curious how you would. So if you like this video, if there's anything you want me to go more into, I would be happy to discuss. And I really want to hear what you guys would do with $1 million. How would you deploy it? So best, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy this episode, please leave a comment on why you didn't enjoy, and I will talk to you next time.